Hi everyone, in this video we are going to study some basic definitions on graph theory. Few definitions are new to you, few you may studied in last semester itself. So in that very first definition is uniquely colorable graph. So before explaining the definition, consider a graph. I'll consider a graph. I'm going to consider an example for this. I'll take this as G. Here we are having 5 vertices. For first vertex, I'll choose blue color. I'll take this as U1, U2, U3, U4, U5. I'll take first vertex as blue color. Since these two are adjacent and since this is adjacent to U1, this is adjacent to U1, this is adjacent to U1, this is also adjacent to U1. So I cannot use blue color again. So I'll choose red color. U5 is red. Since this is adjacent to U5, I cannot use red color again here. But this is not adjacent to this. Therefore, I'll take red again. Now, U2 is not adjacent. Sorry, U2 is adjacent to blue and red. So, I'll use black color here. This is one way of coloring this graph. So, in this, we are having blue color as U1, black color as U2 and U4 vertices. Similarly, red as U3 and U5 vertices. Now, for the same graph, if I choose some other colors. For example, now I'll start with U4. I'll take U4 as red. I'm not writing the graph again. Here itself I'm coloring it. Just assume instead of black color I'm giving red color to U4. Since U1 is adjacent to U4, I cannot color the color U1 using red color. And U3 is adjacent to U4, so I am not using red color here. U5 is adjacent to this, so I am not using red color here. So I'll choose red color to U2. U4 and U2 are red now, and U2 is adjacent to U3, so I am taking blue color here. Since U3 is adjacent to U1, no more blue color there, and this is not adjacent to this, therefore this is blue. Now obviously I'll take some other color for U1. Now if we check this second category, U1 is black, U2 and U4. U2 and U4 is red. U3 and U5 are blue. Right? Now consider some other example. Consider a graph G1. I am considering another graph. These are our vertices. So this is our G1 now. Now I'll take this as V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. Now I'm going to color this graph. V1 I'll take blue. First vertex I'll take it as blue. Since V2 is adjacent, V3 is also adjacent. I'll choose some other color for this too. So I can take V3 as blue again. Correct? And this is adjacent to this, adjacent to this, adjacent to this. So I cannot take blue color anywhere. I'm taking blue color here. V2 and V6 are adjacent to this. So this should be some other color. And V3 is not adjacent to V1. So I'm taking blue color again. V5, V5, V4, V6 is adjacent. And therefore I cannot take V3 again. Now I'm going to color V2 using red. This is adjacent to V2, so I cannot take red here. This is also adjacent to V2, I cannot take red here. So I'll take V4 as red. Now I'll take this as black color. Since V2 is adjacent, V1 blue is adjacent, I'm taking black here. Here V5 red is adjacent, blue is also adjacent, black color is also adjacent. So I'll take some other color, gray. Now using 4 colors, we can color this graph properly. That is, for blue, we are having V1, V3. For red, we are having V2, V4. For black, we are having V6. And for grey, I am having V5. This is one way of coloring the graph. Now consider another way of coloring the graph. Now I'm going to color V1 as red. Now these two are adjacent to each other. So I can take V3 as red or V5 as red. I'll take this as red color. V1, I'm taking it as red color. V2 and V6 are adjacent to this. So I'm not going to take same color here. V3, V5, V4 are not adjacent to this. So I'm taking here. I can take here. I can take red here also. I can take red here also. Anywhere is fine. So I'm taking here. Now this is adjacent to this. So I'm taking blue color here. This is adjacent to this. This is adjacent to this. This is also adjacent to this. So I'm taking blue color here again. Now blue is adjacent to V3. Blue is adjacent to V3. So I am taking black for V3. Now V3 and V6 is adjacent to V3, V2 and V5. It is adjacent to blue, black and red. So I will take it as grey color. Now V1 and V5 are red. So red colors are V1 and V5. Blue are V2, V4. Black are V3. Only one. And grey is V6. Only one. See, when we compare these two, the sets are different now. Here V1 and V3, here it is V1 and V5. Vertex are changed. In this color V2, V4, here it is V2, V4. But here it is V6, here it is V3, V5, V6. But in previous case when we see, in the sets, elements or vertices are remain same, only colors has changed. We can choose any color, but for the set of vertices, the colors remain changed. If you color in any ways, if you try, only U1 take only one color, U2 and U4 share same color, U3 and U5 shares same color. But in this case, though this way of coloring the graph is also properly colored and this way of coloring the graph is also properly colored, but the colors shared by the vertices may vary. So this is the difference between uniquely properly colorable graph. So what is the definition is, chi of G is n, means it requires minimum n number of colors to color the graph. Chromatic number of G is n. In this case, chromatic number is 3. In this case, chromatic number is 4. So if chi of G is n and every n coloring of G induces the same partition of vertices. Whatever color we choose, same partition of vertices of V of G. Then we say G is uniquely colorable graph. Whatever color we choose, if the partition of the vertices are same, then G is known as uniquely colorable graph. Here the partition is different. First partition is V1, V3. Here it is V1, V5. Partitions are different. Therefore, G1 is not uniquely colorable graph, but G is uniquely colorable graph. This is our first definition. Now we are going to study directed graph. I know you have already studied directed graph. So very first definition is directed graph. So what is our directed graph? A graph D consists of a finite set of vertices and a collection of ordered pair of distinct vertices. Every graph will be having vertices and pair of vertices. It means edges connected between two vertices. And if the edges are directed with a lines, then it is said to be directed graph. So if the edges are directed lines from one vertices to another vertices, we call it as arc incident to a vertex. Then such graph we call it as directed vertices. Here, example, this graph is directed graph. Here we are having a pairs V1, V2, V1, V3, V2, V3, V3, V4, V4, V2, V2, V4, V2, V4 or the ordered pairs. Now we are going, this is directed graph. The same thing, underlying graph. Underlying graph means ordinary graph which we studied before. It does not have directions. If D is a digraph, then the graph obtained from D by removing the arrows. If we remove the arrows from the directed graph, it is known as underlying graph. This is an example for underlying graph. It is also known as undirected graph. Now we are going to study orientation of a graph. Now we are going to study orientation of a graph. If G is the underlying graph of D, if G is the undirected graph of D, D is the directed graph, then we say D is the orientation of G. See, if G is a graph, this is a graph. It means it is does not having direction. it is underlying graph or undirected graph. From this, if I have a directed graph in this form, so D is orientation of G. This is D1. If I take some other example, D2 is also orientation of G. So orientation of G is, for a graph, if there is a digraph such that G is undirected graph of D, then D is orientation of G. Now we are going to study what are parallel edges. So in this example, D2 itself, if I have an edge in this form directed in opposite way, if this is A, B, C, D, we are having C, D, D, E. These two edges are not parallel edges. Clear? These two edges are not parallel edges. But in this case, V2 to V4, V2 to V4 with same direction. These two edges are parallel edges. Therefore, the parallel edges are two edges E and E dash of a directed graph, such that if E and E dash have same initial and terminal vertex. E and E dash should have same initial and terminal vertex, then only E and E dash are said to be parallel edges. In this case, C is an initial vertex, D is an terminal vertex. But for this edge, D is an initial vertex, C is an terminal vertex. But for this, V2 is initial vertex for both the edges and V4 is terminal vertex for both the edges. So when two edges E and E dash are said to be parallel edges if E and E dash have same initial and terminal vertex. Now we are going to study incidence. What is incidence? So in a digraph, every edge has two vertices. One is initial vertex and another one is final vertex or terminal vertex. So in every digraph, for every edge there exists two vertices. One vertex from which the edge begins, and the other at which it ends. If an edge begins at a vertex, then that vertex is incident. So we consider this. Here we are having D and E. This is C, this is D. I am considering this edge. Here we are having two vertices and an edge. This edge E begins at C and terminates at D. Begins at C and terminates at D. We say that E is incident out of C and incident into D. Incident out of C and incident into D. I repeat, incident out of C and incident into D. Now we are going to study types of digraph. First one, simple digraph. As we know what is simple graph, here we are having simple digraph, a digraph which does not has loop. Loop should not exist and parallel edges should not exist. Such graph we call it as simple graph. Here this is an example for simple graph. Again I tell you, C, D and CD edges are not parallel to each other. Clear? So in simple digraph, it should not have self loops and it should not have parallel edges. Now we are going to study symmetric digraph. In symmetric digraph, every edges A comma B, there also exists an edge B comma A. For example, if this is my example, for AB, there should exist another edge BA. For an edge CA, there exists AC. This is an example for symmetric graph. So in symmetric digraph, for every edge A comma B, there is also an edge BA. This is our symmetric digraph. Now asymmetric digraph. So in asymmetric digraph, it has at most one directed edge between any pair of vertices. It means we should not have edges in this form. Either we have this edge or we should have this edge. We should not have both the edges. And self loops are allowed. So if we have this graph, we can have loops in asymmetric graph and it should be in only one direction, either in this or in this form. This graphs we call it as asymmetric digraph. Next one, isomorphic digraph. In isomorphic digraph, it has two directed graphs are said to be isomorphic to each other if it has identical behavior in terms of graph property. It means two graphs should have identical property. That means if we remove the name of the vertices A, B, C, etc., two graphs cannot be differentiable. Example, if I consider G1, this is A, B, C, D. If I have some other graph, in this form, if I remove the name of the vertices, we'll get the same identical property. See, here this vertex in degree is 2, for this vertex in degree is 2. Similarly, for some other vertex, here also in degree is 2, here also in degree is 2. In this case, these two graphs are said to be isomorphic graph to each other. Next type of directed graph is balanced digraph or balanced directed graph. In balanced digraph, we have out degree is equal to in degree. We have out degree is equal to in degree for every vertices. A directed graph is said to be balanced graph, or other name is isograph, if its in degree and out degree of your vertices are same. Consider a graph. Example. So I take this as an example. For graph A, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. Similarly, for a vertex B, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. For a vertex C, in degrees are 2, out degrees are 2. For a vertex D, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. In a vertex E, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. So, for all the vertex, in degree is equal to out degree. This type of graph, we call it as balanced digraph. Next one, we are going to study regular digraph. Regular directed graph. So, a regular directed graph should be a balanced digraph. Very first thing is, it should be a balanced digraph. It means it should have in degree is equal to out degree for every vertex. Now this balanced digraph is said to be regular if every vertex has same in degree and out degree. See what is the difference here? I'll show. Suppose if we consider a graph. For this vertex, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. For vertex A, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. For vertex B also, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. For vertex C also, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. D and E also, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. For all the vertices, in degree is 1, out degree is 1. Here, only in degree should be equal to out degree for each vertex. But here in degree and out degree should be same for all the vertices. That is the difference. Here we can have in degree of C as 2, out degree as 2. But here we should not have different in degree and out degree. For all the vertices, in degree and out degree should be same. That is our regular digraph. Next one, complete digraph. There are two types of complete digraph. First one, complete symmetric digraph. Complete symmetric digraph. We know what is symmetric graph and we know what is complete graph also. So in complete symmetric digraph, it is a simple digraph. It means it should not have loops and parallel edges. It is a simple digraph. There are exactly one edge directed from every vertex to every other vertices. There exists exactly only one edge directed from one vertex to other vertex. A is directed to C, C is directed to B, B is directed to A. And C should be directed to A also. B is directed to A should be directed to B. C is directed to B, B should be directed to C. So in complete symmetric digraph, it is a simple digraph in which there is exactly one edge directed from every vertex to each other. Now, complete asymmetric digraph. In asymmetric digraph, there is exactly one edge between every pair of vertices. So, there exists only one edge between any pair of vertices. See here, if we consider A and C, there exist two vertices. But in complete asymmetric, whatever vertices we consider, there exists only one edge between those vertices. For example, so if I consider A, B, C, D. For AB, there exists only one edge, whether it is AB or BA. Similarly, for AD, there exists only one edge. There does not exist edge for DA. Similarly, CD, there exists one edge. BC, whatever vertices, pair of vertices we consider, there exists only one edge between those vertices.